Mr. Fix-It with a bed shed Kilbeggan. Quality, choice and value you can't beat. With over 80 beds, headboards and mattresses to suit all budgets. Find the bed shed on Facebook and Instagram.
Our first question for Mr. Fix-It. We replaced the basin in our ensuite with a vanity unit. And now, because the silicone around the vanity unit is so white, the grout on the tiles look quite grubby. Is there anything that will freshen them up so they look the same?
Yeah. So hopefully, you've been called that a vanity unit, haven't you?
I've been called grubby.
Yeah, been called grubby, and certainly lots of vanity. Unjustified, but lots of vanity. So, always just worth pointing out, hopefully the silicone they used was what's known as sanitary silicone. So that's a silicone, every brand of silicone makes ordinary builder's silicone and sanitary silicone. And there's loads of different brands, Forever White and all sorts of things. But the point is exactly that, they stay white. They have a very high anti-mould thing built into them, because in a bathroom, bathrooms are continually damp. They're very moist, very humid, so the mould forms on ordinary silicone very quickly. So hopefully they did use that. Two options. I'd always just go with a good grout cleaner first. So what you have here now is you've white grout on tiles, which was snow white in its day. The comparison now is the snow white silicone. And your two options are A, clean it, which I'd always try first, because if you find that the second, I will give you the second option. Second option, and it is easy to use. There's various brands of basically tile paint. Now, you don't use a paintbrush. It goes on with your thumb. If you can imagine just getting if you got a tube of filler, ordinary filler that you'd fill a wall with, it's like that. But you just run it down along the tile. You leave it to set, and then you wash it off. And it comes off on the tile because the tile is smooth. It doesn't come off in the grout because the grout is coarse and porous. So it does a great job, but you have to do every square inch of it. And you'll usually find that the grout around the wash-hand basin, the grout in certain areas will be worse. So if you just clean it up quite well, it'll all look uniform. Whereas if you use the snow white grout paint, you have to do every little bit, because the bit you clean, the bit you treat, will now look brand spanking new, and the older bit, which looked absolutely fine, now looks bad. So you have to do every little bit. Exactly. So I'd always go and get the concentrate. Don't use, if you can avoid it, don't use the spray grout cleaners, because that's been sprayed out as a vapour that you can inhale. They have to go with a less strong version of the grout cleaner. So if you go for the concentrate, all you do is use it either neat or dilute it, put it on, give it about 10 minutes, and then give it a scrub with a scrubbing brush, like a nail brush or a hand scrubbing brush, and then wash it all off. And you'll probably find that brings it to 90%, which is quite good.
Oh dear. So, Alan was listening to your piece last week about the jackdaws in the water tank.
Oh, yeah.
Which got him thinking. He lives in an old apartment building and the attic probably hasn't been entered for years. So he doesn't want to be the first pioneer to go up and discover what may be up there. So from the comfort of his apartment, are there any telltale signs of a compromised water tank?
Well, in an apartment building, you certainly hope the tank is covered. Honestly, it's a smell. It's either one of two things. So sometimes if it's not covered, you can get lots of flies. Particularly, a lot of attics have cluster flies, and that's thousands of flies. And of course, some of them will fall into the tank, and then you get little bits of wings and legs and so on coming down the tap. So you will know what that happens. If you run a basin of water...
By the way, he delights far too much in saying that. The little curl at the crease of his mouth, that smile.
Sorry.
It's like Garfield.
You should see the look on Will's face. He's really not impressed by the thought of that. So if you run your tap, particularly your hot tap, and you find that there's a smell from it, well, then there's something in the tank. And if you run either tap and there's little bits of something, debris, we'll call it debris, coming down into the wash-hand basin, then again there's something in it. But I would imagine in a big tank, in a big system like that, where it's an apartment block, it will be covered. It should be done right.
Now, next from Alice. Every time I use the Hoover at home, it leaves a horrible smell hanging in the air afterwards.
Yeah, so most hoovers have filters that need to be cleaned. And of course, we generally don't think cleaning them. Most of them have removable filters. So what you can do is two things. Take off the filters, give them a good cleaning. Now, if you had a second hoover, it'd be great. You could hoover it. Otherwise, beat it, and you can wash it, but make sure you dry it really well. So I would say if time is in your hands, which look, you can go for a day without hoovering it. So beat it first, then give it a good wash in a detergent, and then make sure it's bone dry. And the other thing to do is spray on an air freshener or a fabric freshener onto it, directly onto the fabric of the filter, and leave it to dry, and then put it back in. So you will be releasing a nice scent, and also your hoover will work much better because that build-up that's there stops the hoover working as effectively. So do both those things: clean the filters and clean everything, and spray on the fabric freshener onto the filters.
Next listener is looking for a budget solution where they are considering painting a black worktop or having some alternative way to restore it to its proper look. I don't want to buy anything expensive.
So don't paint it. If it's a kitchen worktop, don't paint it. You're putting pots and pans and dragging things back and forth and using sharp knives and cutlery and all that. It'll end up flaking. He doesn't say, or she doesn't say what type of worktop it is. So what you can do is you can wax it. So a tub of beeswax, you can get beeswax with a little bit of colour in it. So if it's black and if it's a laminate worktop and it's scratched, the one with the black will help. Or even what you can do is you can get a little bit of black wood dye and rub that into all the scratches and then wax it. And the wax will give it a better look. The wax will provide more protection, and it's very easy to do. It takes 5 minutes. So what you do is you put on the wax, not too heavy, before you go to bed at night. In the morning you get up, or sometime the following day, you buff it up, and then you redo it again, and you redo it again, and that builds up a protective surface. But it looks so much better, but it's not something that's going to flake, it's not something that's going to peel, it's just something that you maintain on a regular basis.
You know when an image is trying to download and it's kind of blurry? So we've received a photo of a toilet bowl and it had some brownish limescale in it. But when that was downloading, I had no idea what was going to display. So I'm very much relieved. But still, it's not the most attractive looking site because you have the limescale. Obviously, it's soaking or absorbing in.
So is it
stuff that's put on it?
It's hard for me to see with the shine there. I think it's off the window as opposed to your forehead.
Your head.
Your head's getting there. Your head is getting there. Is it below the waterline or in the entire bowl?
In the entire bowl.
Okay. Well, then what you do is get one of the concentrated limescale removers.
Sorry, I should say principally below the waterline, though.
Okay. Well, if it's... So I suppose, look, there's other people listening as well. So if it's below the waterline, there is a below the waterline descaler that's very easy to use. It's brilliant. So you put it in. The best known of those would be Scale X, and there's other ones as well. You put it in, you leave it all night. The lime, that brown deposit that's impossible to remove, will now be as soft as butter. So you just literally take a toilet brush to it, give it a scrub around and flush. And if you've missed anything, it'll be very visible because it'll be even darker in colour than it was. But remember, it's as soft as butter until it eventually goes hard again. So you work on it until it's gone completely, and always go right up as far the pipe as you can go with your toilet brush or with your hand and a scrubbing brush, because it's coming from further up along and travelling up. On the surface, what you would do is one of the limescale descalers like Pags and Blue or the HG, any of those concentrated ones. Don't use the sprays because, again, the same thing, they have to be diluted down. Leave them on for about 15 minutes, get a nylon pad, give it a scrub, wash it off. It'll literally be as good as new.
I'm supposed to talk about the virtues of Philadelphia cream cheese in our competition this week, but after
maybe not the same sentence as the toilet bowl.
No. We'll come back to that after these.
Mr. Fix-It with a Bedshed Kilbeggan. Luxury beds, mattresses and more at very affordable prices. Find the Bedshed on Facebook and Instagram.
Paul in Banagher is wondering if it is possible to thin Rust-Oleum all-surface paint so that it could be sprayed. And if it is, what would you thin it with?
No problem. Cellulose thinners. Now, you want to get pure cellulose thinners as opposed to gun cleaner. So you'll get it in any motor factories, but it has to be cellulose. So Rust-Oleum is cellulose-based. Most paints nowadays are water-based. Some paints are still spirit-based, white spirit-based, but this is actually cellulose-based. So smells very strongly. If you were to spray, bedroom units with it, it would smell for 2 days afterwards. But it's a good, tough paint. But it's like it's quite difficult to work with. But in the case of the paint, it smells. But in the case of the paint, it's worth it.
See, I'm beating you to all of the insults. I'm being self-deprecating today.
Yeah. I'm uncomfortable with that.
Yes. Next is a listener who says they have mice in the kitchen again this year, and they're convinced the kids are to blame for leaving the back door open. Now, I know you can
that'll do it.
Yeah. I know you can get a door closer, as seen in the shops or the offices. Not really what I want in my kitchen. So I'm wondering, is there another way to keep the door closed other than getting rid of the kids?
Yeah, there's a very simple way of doing that, depending on how handy. There's two ways of doing it, actually. One would be to just replace the hinges that you have there with what's known as a rising butt hinge. So a rising butt hinge is originally...
Sorry, just the names of these things. A rising butt hinge.
Yes. So
I'm reminded of my cat. Every time that I stroke him on the back, he rises up and the tail shoots up. Okay, what do you do in the privacy? What do you do in the privacy of your own home? He wants me to sniff it. I mean, that's what cats are doing.
Really?
It's
I never knew that.
Communicate friendliness.
Okay.
That's apparently a sign that I'm his friend.
Oh, great. Thanks. Thanks for all that.
Don't you dare do it.
Completely.
Stop doing it. I don't want to sniff yours. We're not friends.
So every door in your house has a butt hinge. That's what they're called. We'll call it a hinge because you seem to be fixated on the cat's butt for some reason. So you're going to get a rising hinge, correctly termed as a rising butt hinge.
Yes.
But so when you take off, when you open the door, obviously it just swings straight in and straight back in again. Straight out and back in again. But when you put on a rising butt hinge, the door lifts a little bit. And so if you had, say you put down a new carpet and the carpet has a very high pile on it, and when you open the door then it's hard to open the door. So you could take a little bit off the bottom of the door. But then, if the pile goes down or if it's you might be left with a gap that would have a breeze coming in if you take a bit off the door. So
By the way, only you would go from butt to pile. Go on.
I like it. But a rising butt hinge lifts up the door. But then because it's sitting up high and the hinge is sloped, the door wants to close again. So it's a way of making sure the door is always closed. And it won't necessarily slam closed. It'll just rise up and then go back down again. It's very easily done, won't cost a fortune. And the other thing you could do is if you wanted, you can get a little door closer that goes in the middle of the door. It's just 4 screws to keep it in place. And it has a little bar that comes out, and they come in white and silver and gold. They cost less than 20 quid and not very unsightly. Now, you'll still see it. You'll know it's there. And that's very easily fitted. And again, it'll keep the door closed.
By the way, for fear of being misquoted, can I clarify I don't accept his invitation for a safe?
Oh, good.
Patricia is in Abbeyleix and says, we recently moved into the house and I've noticed that our shower, kettle and dishwasher, among other things, are full of lime.
Welcome to the Midlands,
well, she
Patricia.
says, I didn't have this problem when I lived in Kildare.
Aha, yes. So we're in the middle of...
She's probably getting her water or got her water from the Liffey in Kildare. And Liffey water tends not to be as limey as sources in the Midlands. Yeah,
so we're full of limestone here, and the rain comes down from the sky and goes down and passes through limestone and then into the reservoirs, and it's full of lime. That's basically the problem. So
is a water softener her solution?
Yeah, so what I'd suggest you do is get a water softener. I suppose talk to, go to your local plumbing shop or whatever. Get probably the ones that seem to work most efficiently are the ones that use the salt tablets, and people get fixated sometimes in this. They think that the water is passing through the salt, but it's not. The water is passing through a filter, and then once a night once every 2 nights, once every 3 nights, maybe once a week, depending on the volume of water going through it, the filter will be cleaned with the salt. So the salt is purely cleaning the filter. So if you imagine it as a mesh that, so sometimes on a kettle you get a little plastic mesh on the spout, and that becomes clogged up with lime. So what happens is the mesh in the filter gets clogged up with lime, and then the salt breaks it down. But you're not tasting salt, you're not washing in salt. That's all it's doing. And if you want to descale everything that's there, get one of the descalers, the lime free or something like that, and just descale every item, because once that is there, once the lime is built up in your shower, in the element in the shower, in the shower hose, in the kettle, in the washing machine, the dishwasher, putting on the water softener won't get rid of the existing lime. But go ahead and fit the water softener first, and then descale everything, and then you won't need to do it again.
Our time is up, I'm afraid. Do you like Philadelphia cream cheese?
I love it, actually.
Well, you could become a brand ambassador for them and win €250 this week.
That would be nice, but when you say me, you don't mean me, you mean everybody else out there.
Well, did you know it only takes 9 minutes to maintain a friendship?
No.
And Philadelphia is the perfect formula for maintaining a friendship.
Okay.
So, if you want to know more, Midlands103.com, or send your recipe suggestions to 083 30 10 103. David Hollywood will have those and a lot more after 11.